Hana's hands trembled as she read the message on her data pad. The words seemed to burn into her eyes. Matched. Human mandatory assignment. She read it 3 times, hoping she had misunderstood, but no, the meaning was clear. She would be paired with a human soldier for the next deep space mission. Her heart raced. Every Valyrian child grew up hearing stories about humans. They were warriors, violent and unpredictable. They fought in wars that lasted decades. They never backed down, never surrendered. Her teachers had shown videos of human soldiers in battle. The images still haunted her dreams. Sometimes she sat in her small quarters on Nexus Station, staring at the gray walls. The station was home to thousands of beings from across the galaxy. Valyrians, Korthons, Silicates, and yes, humans, but Hana had always kept her distance from the human sectors. She had her reasons. A knock on her door made her jump. "Come in," she said softly. Meyer entered with 2 cups of warm beverage. Her friend's blue skin shimmered under the artificial lights. "I heard the news," Mir said, sitting beside her. "I'm so sorry." Hana took the cup gratefully. "Why me? There are hundreds of medical officers on the station, Commander. Urin says it's random selection," Myra replied, "but everyone knows the outreach program is political. They want to prove that different species can work together. They should find volunteers, then not force people into it." Hana's voice cracked slightly. She hated how afraid she sounded. Meyer squeezed her hand. "Maybe it won't be so bad. Not all humans are like the ones in the war footage." But Hana wasn't convinced. She had seen the reports. Just last month, a human security team had stopped a riot in the lower decks. The footage showed them moving with brutal efficiency, every action calculated for maximum impact. They had hurt no one unnecessarily, but the controlled violence in their movements had terrified her. That night Hana couldn't sleep. She lay in her bed and remembered being 7 years old. She had watched the news broadcast with her mother. Reporters spoke about a human military operation on the border worlds. "They fight like demons," the reporter had said. "Once engaged, they never stop. They pushed forward no matter the cost." The images had shown human soldiers advancing through enemy fire. Several fell, but the others kept moving. No hesitation, no fear, just cold determination. Her mother had held her close that night and whispered, "That's why we must never anger them." The next morning, Hana reported to Commander Urin's office. The commander was an older Valyrian with silver markings across her face. She looked up as Hana entered. "I want to request reassignment," Hana said before the commander could speak. Commander Urin Sigid, "Request denied. I've had 12 officers ask the same thing this week. The outreach program is not optional, but Commander, I'm not trained for this. I'm a medical officer, not a combat specialist, working with a human soldier. His name is TJO." The commander interrupted. "And, according to his file, he's one of the best soldiers in the human special forces. You should feel honored." Honored? The word tasted bitter in Hana's mouth. She wanted to argue more, but knew it was useless. When she left the office, her hands were shaking again. She found Mir in the engineering section. Her friend was working on a navigation console, but she stopped when she saw Hana's face. "That bad?" Meyer asked. "Worse. He's special forces. Do you know what that means?" "Those are the humans who do the most dangerous missions. Ones who Hana stopped herself. She was talking too loud, a Silicate engineer. Nearby had turned to look at them. Meyer pulled her into a quiet corner. Listen. I know you're scared, I would be too. But you're smart and capable, maybe this TJO will surprise you. Hana shook her head. She had researched special forces soldiers the night before. They were trained to kill efficiently, to survive impossible situations, to never show weakness. How was she supposed to work with someone like that? The meeting was scheduled for tomorrow. Hana would finally see her assigned partner. She spent the rest of the day in the medical bay trying to focus on work, but her mind kept wandering. What would he look like? Would he be angry about being paired with a Valyrian? Did humans find other species as frightening as she found them? That evening she stood at the observation window in her quarters. The stars stretched out endlessly before her. Somewhere out there was the mission location. Derelict ship that needed investigation. 2 weeks minimum in close quarters with a human soldier. She touched the glass, feeling the cold surface against her fingers. In Valyrian culture they valued harmony and careful planning. They avoided conflict when possible. Humans seemed to embrace it. How could two such different beings possibly work together? A message alert chimed. Hana checked her data pad. It was the mission briefing schedule. Tomorrow at 80 hours she would meet TJO. Then she tried to imagine what she would say to him. Hello, good morning. Should she shake his hand the way humans did, or would that be too informal? Every culture lesson she had ever learned suddenly seemed inadequate. Hana returned to the window. The fear sat heavy in her chest. She had faced difficult surgeries and complex medical emergencies. But this was different. This wasn't about skill or knowledge. This was about surviving 2 weeks with someone from a species she had been taught to fear her entire life. Tomorrow would come whether she was ready or not, and somehow she would have to find a way to face it. Hana arrived at the briefing room 30 minutes early. She wanted to be seated and composed before the human arrived. Room was small, designed for classified meetings. Large screen covered one wall, and a metal table stood in the center with 4 chairs around it. She chose the chair facing the door. That way she could see him when he entered. Her medical kit sat beside her, a small comfort. At least she would have her work to focus on during the mission. Minutes crawled by. Hana checked her data pad repeatedly, though she knew the exact time. At 7:55 hours the door opened. Captain Jiwon entered first. The human liaison officer was shorter than Hana expected, with kind eyes and gray hair. Good morning, Officer Hana, she said with a warm smile. Thank you for being early. Good morning, Captain, Hana replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Your partner will be here shortly. He's just finishing his equipment check. Very thorough, that one. Captain Jiwon sat across from Hana and began preparing her presentation files. At exactly 80 hours the door opened again. TJO entered quietly. He was tall, much taller than Hana. His dark hair was cut short and a thin scar ran along his left jaw. He wore the standard human military uniform, gray and black with various patches. His eyes scanned the room quickly before settling on Hana for a moment. They just looked at each other. Then TJO smiled. It was a small smile, almost shy. Officer Hana, he said, his voice much softer than she expected. Hana blinked. She had prepared herself. For coldness, maybe arrogance not. Politeness not genuine interest, thank you, she managed to say. It's good to meet you. He moved to sit beside Captain Jiwon but paused. Is the seat okay? I don't want to crowd your space. It's fine, Hana said quickly. No human in her imagination had ever asked about her comfort. Captain Jiwon began the briefing. The large screen displayed an image of a ship floating in space. This is the Seraphim's Echo. It was a research vessel studying subspace anomalies. 3 weeks ago it stopped responding to communications. Scans show the ship is intact, but no life signs detected. Tahoe leaned forward, studying the image. Any signs of combat damage? None visible. That's why we need you to board and investigate. Officer Hana, you'll examine any biological evidence. Tajo, you'll handle security and technical system. Hana watched as Taeju took notes. On his data pad, his movements were precise but not aggressive. She noticed his hands were steady, controlled, the hands of someone who knew exactly how much force to use. The mission window is 14 days, Captain Jiwon continued. You'll take reconnaissance ship Nova 7. It's small but fast. Questions? What about the region? TJO asked. The frontier zone has been active lately. We're aware. That's why we're sending our best team. Captain Jiwon looked between them. I know this partnership is new for both of you. The outreach program can be challenging, but I believe you'll work well together. After the briefing ended, Captain Jiwon left them alone to discuss preparations. Hana stood awkwardly, unsure what to say. TJO spoke first. I know this must be difficult for you, being paired with a human. Ha's eyes widened. What makes you say that? I've seen how Valerians look at us in the corridors. It's okay. I understand we have a reputation. He rubbed the back of his neck, a gesture that seemed almost nervous. For what it's worth, I was scared too when I got the assignment. You were scared? The words came out before Hana could stop them. TJO nodded. Terrified? I thought you'd see me as just a weapon, a dangerous thing to be avoided. Humans don't have the best image in the galaxy. Something in Hana's chest loosened slightly. He understood. He felt it too. We're trained to be cautious around humans, she admitted. The stories we hear, I know the stories, TJO said quietly. Some of them are true. We can be aggressive in combat, but that's not all we are. He met her eyes. I have a younger sister. Load, I have. Younger sister. She's studying art on Earth. I call her every week. I like old books and terrible comedy shows, and I'm really bad at cooking, despite herself. Hana felt a small smile form. You're trying to tell me you're normal? I'm trying to tell you I'm just a person like you. He gestured to her medical kit. You save lives. I protect people. Maybe we're not so different. They spent the next hour reviewing supplies and equipment. TJO showed her the security systems on the Nova 7. He explained each one carefully, making sure she understood how to use them if needed. This is the emergency beacon, he said, pointing to a red button. If anything happens to me, you press this immediately. Help will come. What do you mean, if anything happens to you? Hana asked. Just a precaution. But your safety is important. I need to know you can get help if things go wrong. Hana studied his face. He was serious, genuinely concerned for her well-being. It didn't match any of her Expectations. The next day they met at the ship dock. Nova 7 was indeed small. Barely large enough for two people to live comfortably. TJO had already loaded most of the supplies. I left the larger cabin for you, he said. You'll need space for your medical equipment. You don't have to do that, Hana protested. I've slept in worse places, trust me. This is luxury, he grinned, and Hana noticed how the expression softened features as they ran through the launch sequence. Hana felt her anxiety returning. They would be alone together for 2 weeks, no one else to talk to, no escape if things went badly. The ship lifted off smoothly. TJO piloted them out of the station's traffic zone with practiced ease. Once they entered open space, he engaged the autopilot and turned to her. I brought something, he said, reaching into his pack. He pulled out a small container. Human snacks. I thought we could share our food cultures, if you're willing to try. Hana looked at the container, then at his hopeful expression. This dangerous warrior was offering to share snacks like a nervous friend. Okay, she said, but only if you try Valerian fruit crystals. TJO's face lit up. Deal. As they prepared to jump to hyperspace, Hana realized something unexpected. She was still afraid, but maybe, just maybe, there was room for something else too. The Seraphim's echo floated like a ghost in the void. Its lights were dark and it drifted slowly without power. Hana felt a chill run down her spine as their small ship approached. Initial scans confirmed no life signs, TJ said, checking his instruments. But there's still some power in the auxiliary systems. That's strange for a ship that's been dead for 3 weeks. They suited up in their protective gear. TJO checked his weapons carefully. Hana noticed he carried a pistol on his hip and a rifle across his back. The sight should have frightened her, but after 5 days together she understood. He was just being prepared. Stay close to me, TJO said as they prepared to board. If anything feels wrong, you tell me immediately. Promise. I promise, Hana replied. She gripped her medical scanner tightly. They entered through the main airlock. The moment they stepped inside, Hana knew something was very wrong. The corridor was dark except for their helmet lights. Scratch marks covered the walls, deep gouges in the metal that looked like claw marks. What could do that? Hana whispered. TJO examined the marks closely. His jaw was tight. Nothing I recognize. Stay behind me. They moved through the ship slowly. Every shadow seemed threatening. Every sound made Hana's heart race. They found the first body in the engineering section, a Quarren engineer dead for at least 2 weeks. Hana knelt to examine him. No visible wounds, but look at his face. He died in terror. What killed him? TJO asked, scanning the area with his rifle. I don't know. I need to run tests. Hana took samples carefully. The silence pressed around them like a weight. They found more bodies, 12 in total, all the same. No wounds, but expressions of pure fear frozen on their faces. Hana's hands shook as she worked. I need to check the medical bay, she said. Maybe their records will tell us something. TJO didn't like the idea. We should stay together. The medical bay is just down that corridor. It'll be faster if we split up. 5 minutes. He looked at her for a long moment. 5 minutes, then I'm coming to get you. And Hana, keep your communication open. She nodded and headed down the corridor. Alone, the medical bay was a mess. Equipment was scattered everywhere, but the main computer was still working. Hana accessed the logs and began downloading data. That's when she heard the sound, a clicking noise like insect. Legs on metal, it came from the vents. Above her, TJO, she whispered into her communicator, there's something. Vent exploded open, a creature dropped down. It was unlike anything Hana had ever seen. Black chitinous armor covered its body, multiple legs, eyes that glowed red in the darkness, and it was fast. Hana ran, the creature followed, its claws scraping the floor. She heard more clicking sounds, more creatures emerging from the walls. Hana Tijo's voice came through her. Communicator, where are you? Medical bay, they're everywhere. She slammed the door controls, sealing herself inside. But the creatures began tearing at the door. The metal groaned under their assault. She heard gunfire explosions. TJO was fighting his way to her. Door buckled, a claw pushed through the gap. Hana grabbed a medical laser cutter and fired at it. The creature shrieked. Then TJO was there. He appeared in the corridor outside like an avenging angel. His rifle fired in controlled bursts. Each shot found its target. Creatures fell around him, but more kept coming. The door, he shouted. Hana slammed the control. The door opened and TJO dove inside. Together, they sealed it again. The creatures threw themselves against the barrier. But it held for a moment. They just breath. TJO's armor was scored with claw marks. Green blood covered his weapons. Are you hurt? He asked, immediately checking her over. No, nothing serious. He moved to barricade the door with medical equipment. We need to get to the bridge. Send a distress signal. Tau, tau, tau. They fought their way through the ship. TJO moved with brutal efficiency, protecting Hana at every turn. She watched him take down creatures that should have killed them both, but he never used more force than needed. Every shot was precise, every movement calculated to keep her safe. A creature lunged at her from behind. TJO spun and fired without hesitation. The creature fell inches from her face. Thank you, she gasped. Always, he said simply. They reached the bridge and sealed themselves inside. TJO immediately began working on the communication systems while Hana treated a deep cut on his shoulder. Her hands were steadier now. Fear had been replaced by determination. Why didn't you tell me you were hurt? She asked as she cleaned the wound. Didn't matter. Getting you safe mattered. He winced as she applied the medical gel. How bad is it? Bad enough. You need proper treatment when we get back. She bandaged him carefully. TJO, why did you come for me? You could have been killed. He looked at her with those dark eyes. Because I told you I'd protect you. I don't break promises. Something in her chest tightened. This human, this warrior she had feared, had risked everything for her. The communication system crackled to life. Help is coming, TJO said, but it'll take 6 hours. We need to hold out until then. TJO said, TJO said, TJO said, TJO said. TJO said. The creatures attacked the bridge door repeatedly. Each assault was more violent than the last. TJO set up defensive positions. He showed Hana how to use the rifle, hands guiding hers gently, just like this. Don't think too hard. Point and squeeze. The gun does the rest. Hours passed. They fought. They rested. They talked. TJO told her about his sister, about growing up on Earth. Hana shared stories of her medical training. Between attacks, they became more than just partners. I was wrong about humans. Hannah said during a quiet moment. About you. TJO smiled tiredly. I'm glad because you're nothing like what I expected either. You're braver than any soldier I've known. I'm terrified, she admitted. So am I, but we're terrified together. That makes it easier. When the rescue ship finally arrived, they had survived 14 separate attacks. Both were exhausted, wounded but alive. As they were evacuated, Hannah looked back at the Seraphim's Echo. What were those things, she asked. I don't know, TJO replied, but we in LT Unc and GTLL find out together. Hannah realized she wanted that. She wanted more time with this human who had transformed everything she thought she knew. The medical bay on Nexus Station smelled of antiseptic and metal. Hannah sat on a bed, wrapped in a thermal blanket while a doctor checked her vital signs. She had minor injuries, nothing serious, but her mind wouldn't stop replaying the events on the Seraphim's Echo. You're lucky, the doctor said. Both of you. Those creatures were highly aggressive. Most people wouldn't have survived. Hannah nodded absently. Where is TJO? Surgery. His shoulder wound was deeper than he admitted. Typical soldier behavior. The doctor shook his head. He'll be fine. Recovery room 3. As soon as the doctor cleared her, Hannah went to find him. She told herself it was just professional concern, one partner checking on another, but her heart beat faster as she approached the recovery room. TJO was awake, propped up on pillows. His shoulder was bandaged and he looked pale, but he smiled when he saw her. Hey, he said softly, you okay? I should be asking you that. Hannah pulled a chair beside his bed. The doctor said, you downplayed your injury, didn't want you to worry during the fight. We needed to stay focused. He tried to sit up straighter and winced. Don't move, Hannah ordered. She adjusted his pillows carefully. Yes, doctor. His smile grew wider. I'm glad you're all right. I had nightmares about those creatures getting you. They sat in comfortable silence. For a while, Hannah realized how natural this felt, being near him, talking with him. When had that happened? Meyer burst into the room an hour later. Hannah, I just heard. She stopped when she saw TJO. Oh, hello. This is my friend Mir, Hannah said. Meyer, this is TJO, the human who saved your life, Meyer said, studying him with open curiosity. Thank you. Hannah means a lot to us. She means a lot to me too, TJO said simply. Hannah felt her face warm. Meyer noticed and grinned. After a few minutes she made an excuse to leave, but not before giving Hannah a knowing look. Debriefing happened 2 days later. Commander Urin sat across from them in her office, reviewing their reports. Captain Jiwon was there, too, looking grave. The creatures were biological weapons, Commander Urin explained. The Seraphim's Echo was actually conducting illegal research. Someone didn't want that research discovered, so they sent those things to kill the crew. Hannah felt sick. It appears so. Your mission exposed a serious threat. The Council is very pleased with your work. Commander paused. There's more. We've located the facility where these creatures were created. It needs to be shut down. We're asking if you'd volunteer for the mission. Hannah didn't hesitate. Yes. TJO looked at her in surprise. Are you sure? After what we went through, I'm sure those things need to be stopped. And she met his eyes. I want to work with you again, Ender. Something passed between them. Understanding, connection, more than just professional partnership, but not Everyone was happy about their success. The story had spread across the station. Some Valerians praised Hana, others criticized her. Her mother called that evening the conversation was tense. Everyone is talking about you and the human. Her mother said, they say you've become too close. His name is TJO, mother, and yes, we've become friends. He saved my life. Friends? Hana, you know how people will interpret this. Humans are not like us. They're violent, aggressive. TJO is kind and brave and thoughtful. Hana interrupted. Everything I was taught about humans was wrong, or at least incomplete. Her mother sighed. Please be careful. I don't want you to get hurt. After the call ended, Hana sat in her quarters. Feeling conflicted, she understood her mother's concern, but she also knew the truth now. TJO wasn't dangerous. He was just different. She went to visit him again. He was out of the recovery room, now staying in guest quarters while he healed. When he opened the door, he was wearing casual clothes instead of his uniform. He looked younger somehow, more vulnerable. I brought food, Hana said, holding up containers. Real food, not medical bay rations. They ate together, talking about everything and nothing. TJO told her about Earth, about oceans and forests. Hana described the crystal gardens of her home world. I was scared of you, TJO admitted. Suddenly, before we met, I thought Valerians would see me as a monster. My whole career has been about fighting. I worried that's all anyone would ever see. I thought the same thing in reverse. Hana said, I was terrified of being matched with you, but you're not what I expected at all. What did you expect? Someone cold, aggressive, always ready for violence. She looked at him. Instead, I found someone who asks about my comfort, who shares snacks, who protects me but also trusts me to be strong. You are strong, TJO said, stronger than you know. Way you handled yourself on that ship. I've served with soldiers who would have fallen apart. They moved closer on the couch. Hana's hand was near his. Their fingers touched, then intertwined. It felt right. Hana, TJO said quietly, I need to tell you something. These past weeks with you have been, I've never felt this way before. Tahoe 7707 to 7. Her heart raced. What way? Like I've found something I didn't know I was looking for. Hana's breath caught. TJO, you don't have to say anything. I know it's complicated, different species, different cultures, but I needed you to know. And one member, it's not complicated, Hana said. She squeezed his hand. I feel it too. I was afraid of humans, but now I'm only afraid of losing you. They sat together in the quiet of his quarters, hands clasped, understanding that everything had changed. The mission had brought them together, but something deeper kept them there. The next day they reported to Commander Uran to finalize plans for the facility raid. They would leave in 1 week, enough time for Teju to heal. As they walked through the station corridors together, Hana noticed the looks they received. Some curious, some disapproving, but she didn't care anymore. Let them stare, TJO murmured. You're worth every judgmental look. Hana smiled. She had feared being matched with a human. She had feared TJO specifically, but fear had transformed into something beautiful, something worth fighting for. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Training room echoed with the sound of their movements. Hana dodged left as TJO came at her with a practice weapon. She blocked, spun, and countered exactly as He taught her, he smiled with pride. Better, he said, much better. You're thinking 3 moves ahead now. I had a good teacher. Hana lowered her practice weapon, breathing hard. Do you really think we'll need hand-to-hand combat? Hope not, but I want you prepared for anything. TJO handed her a water bottle. The facility will be more dangerous then. The ship, we need to be ready. They had spent the last week training together. TJO taught Hana combat techniques. She taught him advanced medical procedures. They learned each other's strengths and weaknesses. They became a real team. Meyer watched from the observation window, shaking her head in amusement. Later she cornered Hana in the corridor. So are you going to admit it? Admit what? That you're in love with him. Anyone with eyes can see it. Hana felt her face heat. It's not that simple. We're from different species, different cultures. Love is never simple, Myra said gently, but it's worth it. I see how he looks at you, Hana, like you're the most important thing in his universe. The departure day arrived. They boarded a larger ship this time with a full security team, but Hana and TJO would lead the infiltration. Facility was hidden in an asteroid field, disguised as a mining operation. Remember the plan, Captain Juan said during the final briefing. Get in, plant the charges, get the prisoners out. No heroics. TJO caught Hana's eye and smiled. They both knew heroics were probably inevitable. The approach was tense. The facility's defenses were strong. They docked at a supply entrance, using forged credentials. TJO and Hana wore maintenance uniforms over the combat gear. Inside, the facility was cold and sterile. They moved through corridors marked for authorized personnel only. Hana's heart pounded, but TJO's steady presence beside her helped. They found the control room first. TJO began downloading data while Hana kept watch. The information they found was horrifying. The creatures weren't just weapons, they were experiments, tests on living beings. We need to find the prisoners, Hana said urgently. If there are survivors. An alarm blared. Red lights flashed throughout the facility. They know we're here, TJO said, drawing his weapon. Stay close. Guards appeared. TJO engaged them while Hana worked on the door controls. She got them open just as more guards arrived. They ran deeper into the facility, pursuing the signal from the prisoner holding area. The explosions separated them. One moment they were together, the next a wall of fire stood between them. Hana heard TJO shouting her name, but the roar of flames drowned everything. She was alone. Smoke filled the corridor. Hana pulled her breathing mask on and kept moving. She couldn't stop, not when people needed help, not when TJO needed her. 2,000 people with every matter. Awan potable. Rasud mating MC with Kekken 7 potable, and by that she was alone. Guards found her, 3 of them. Hana used everything TJO had taught her. She fought smart, using their overconfidence against them. When one lunged, she sidestepped and used his momentum to slam him into the wall. The other 2 hesitated, surprised. That hesitation was enough. Hana disabled them both and kept running. She found the holding cells. Inside were scientists, terrified and malnourished. I'm here to help, she told them. Follow me, stay quiet. Leading them back through the facility was harder than anything she'd done. Every corner could hide danger, every shadow could be a threat, but she kept moving, kept the scientists safe. Then she heard the sounds of fighting. Joe's voice strained with effort. Stay here, she told the scientists. Hide, don't move until I come back, she found TJO in a large chamber, surrounded by guards. He was injured, bleeding from his side, but still fighting, protecting something behind him. Hana looked closer. More prisoners he'd found. Another group. Without thinking, Hana charged into the fight. She took down the first guard from behind. Joe's face showed shock, then determination. Together they fought, every move coordinated, every action complementing the others. When the last guard fell, they stood together, breathing hard. You came, TJO said, almost laughing. Of course I did. You do the same for me. Hana examined his wound. This is bad. We need to stop the bleeding later. First, we get everyone out. He swayed slightly. Hana steadied him. They gathered all the prisoners. Hana supported TJO as they moved through the facility. He guided her to the escape route, using the downloaded map data behind them. The charges they'd planted began their countdown. The evacuation was chaos, people running, alarms screaming, explosions echoing. But Hana and TJO got every prisoner to the ship when the facility exploded. Behind them they watched from the viewing port, holding each other up. We did it, TJO whispered. You were amazing. Clan TJO. We were amazing, Hana corrected. She was treating his wound properly now on the ship's medical bay. You scared me, you know, when we got separated I scared myself. All I could think was that I might never see you again, that I'd never get to tell you. He stopped. To tell me what? Hana asked softly. That I love you, that you've changed everything for me, that I don't want to do any mission without you, don't want to face any day without you. Tears filled Hana's eyes. I love you too. I was so afraid of humans, afraid of you, but you showed me that fear was just ignorance. You showed me what humans really are. Brave and kind and protective and beautiful. He pulled her close with his good arm. Their foreheads touched. Where do we go from here? He asked. Forward, Hana said. Together. When they returned to Nexus Station, they were heroes. The rescued scientists told everyone about their bravery. The illegal research was exposed. Changes began across the galaxy, but more importantly, Hana and Commander Urin called her for a meeting. They were creating a new program, integrated training teams, species learning from each other. They wanted Hana and Teju to lead it. You've proven that cooperation works, Commander Urin said, that different species can become stronger together. Will you accept our mark? Hana looked at TJO. He nodded. We accept, she said. 6 months later, they stood in a large hall filled with people, Valerians, humans, Korans, and more, all gathered for the bonding ceremony. In Valerian culture, bonding was sacred. Hana wore traditional robes. TJO wore his dress uniform. Me stood beside Hana as her witness. TJO's sister had traveled from Earth to stand with him when they spoke their vows, promising to face the universe together. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Send in later at the celebration. Hana's mother approached them. She looked at TJO carefully. Take care of my daughter, she said. With my life, TJO replied seriously. Her mother smiled, then really smiled. That night, Hana and TJO stood at their favorite observation window. The stars stretched before them, infinite and beautiful. I was so afraid, Hana said. When I first learned I'd be matched with you, I thought it was the worst thing that could happen. And now, TJ asked, wrapping his arms around her. Now. I know it was the best thing. You didn't just transform my fear, you transformed my entire world, showed me that love doesn't see species or culture, it just sees the heart. You did the same for me. TJO said, I thought I was just a soldier, a weapon, but you saw the person underneath. You made me believe I could be more. They kissed as the stars wheeled overhead. Two beings from different worlds brought together by chance, bound by choice. Next morning, they would start training. The new integrated teams, they would face new challenges, new missions, but they would face them together. Hana no longer feared humans. She had learned the truth that humans were capable of incredible kindness, that they loved deeply and protected fiercely, that they were in the end not so different from everyone else, just people trying to do good in a vast universe. And she had learned one more thing, that sometimes the thing you fear most can become the thing you treasure above all else. That transformation isn't just possible, it's beautiful. She feared being matched with a human until that soldier transformed everything, including